clear, I did not have a baby, but I am open to it.
And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm on my straight up tell you the truth stuff now. I guess since everybody telling the truth.
I'm alive.
We just took a picture with a baby and then that went crazy, so now we got a god baby.
We do?
Yeah, I went ahead and made it our god baby.
Okay, great.
You the daddy.
Oh.
Did Tiffany Haddish just secretly have a baby and then casually announce it to the world? Or was the whole thing one big stunt that fooled millions of fans? Because just a few weeks ago, the internet went into meltdown mode when Tiffany popped up online holding a baby in her arms, smiling like a proud new mom. Instantly, the rumors started spreading. Some fans swore she had been keeping a pregnancy under wraps. Others claimed she must have adopted in secret. And then there were those who thought, wait, is Tiffany Haddish trolling us all right now? The mystery didn't stop there. After keeping her audience guessing for nearly 2 weeks, Tiffany finally went on national television and revealed the truth. But what she said didn't exactly clear things up. In fact, it only made the story even wilder. Because instead of saying it was all a misunderstanding and moving on, Tiffany doubled down. She made an announcement so unexpected that it left her audience, and even her longtime friend Jason Lee, completely speechless.
You did promise me you would give me a kid. Are you serious about that?
Yeah.
We could have a kid.
I wanted to talk to you about the cost of, because I said I wanted to do it the old-fashioned way. You said no.
No.
So I want to talk to you about the cost.
The old-fashioned way? What is the old-fashioned? It's been so long.
Jason, the offer still is on the table if you want to make a real baby together.
Okay, we'll have a meeting
Like
about
our baby.
Yeah, we'll have.
You know, I'm
about
traditional.
and I'm still gay.
And that's when things took a shocking turn. What started as a playful joke about a baby suddenly became a heartfelt message about family, adoption, and the struggles both Tiffany and Jason faced growing up in foster care. But just when viewers thought they understood her point, Tiffany threw in another curveball that no one saw coming, the suggestion that maybe, just maybe, she and Jason should have a baby for real. Now, that's where things get complicated. Because Tiffany wasn't joking, at least, not entirely. And the conversation quickly spiraled from rumors and jokes into a much deeper, and surprisingly personal, revelation about both of their lives. So, what really happened here? Did Tiffany Haddish expose a side of herself that fans rarely see? Was this whole baby stunt just about raising awareness, or could it actually lead to something bigger? Today, we're breaking down the full story, from the viral photo that sparked baby rumors, to the on-air confession that shocked everyone, and the jaw-dropping moment Tiffany suggested making those rumors come true. But here's the thing, this isn't just gossip. There's an underlying message in all of this, a powerful one about resilience, family, and the choices that shape our futures. And by the end of this video, you'll see why Tiffany's baby stunt might just be one of the boldest moves she's ever made. It all started with one single photo. Tiffany Haddish, one of the most unpredictable and outspoken comedians in Hollywood, suddenly appeared online holding a baby in her arms. No caption, no explanation, just Tiffany, glowing with a proud smile like she had just stepped into motherhood. And instantly, the internet exploded. Fans began flooding Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok with theories. Some were convinced Tiffany had been hiding a pregnancy all along. There's no way she pulled this off without anyone noticing, one fan wrote. Another insisted, this has to be an adoption. She's been hinting about wanting kids for years. Others thought it was simply Tiffany being Tiffany, doing something outrageous just to get people talking. But the timing made everything even stranger. Tiffany had been relatively quiet on social media in the weeks leading up to this. So, when this photo dropped, it didn't feel like just another celebrity joke, it felt like a reveal. Some entertainment blogs even ran with the headline, Tiffany Haddish is officially a mom. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Tiffany's baby and hashtag is she for real started trending.
Been there, and I'm always down to support my people.
Both of us being former foster kids that were actually selecting to choose a baby that wasn't ours, but that's why adoption's important.
Yeah, adoption is important.
And here's the thing, Tiffany never clarified. She didn't deny it. She didn't confirm it. She just sat back and let the rumors run wild. For nearly 2 weeks, her fans were left in the dark, speculating about whether she had just quietly stepped into one of the biggest chapters of her life. And that silence? It was powerful. In today's world, most celebrities rush to clear up rumors in minutes. But Tiffany kept everyone guessing. That silence made the story spread faster and faster. Every entertainment outlet was scrambling for answers. People wanted to know, was this a secret adoption? A hidden pregnancy? Or just one of Tiffany Haddish's wild pranks taken to a whole new level? But the real twist didn't come until Tiffany walked onto the stage of a nationally televised show. Because when she finally decided to address the rumors, she didn't just give fans a straightforward answer. She gave them something far more shocking, something no one expected. Clapperboard Section 2, the Jimmy Kimmel reveal. After nearly 2 weeks of silence, Tiffany Haddish finally stepped forward to clear the air. And she didn't choose a small stage to do it. She chose Jimmy Kimmel Live. Only this time, Tiffany wasn't sitting in the guest chair. She was the one hosting. The audience was already buzzing, half expecting her to break her silence about the mysterious baby photo. And true to form, Tiffany wasted no time. Right in the middle of her monologue, she leaned into the story with that playful grin fans know so well. She looked straight into the camera and said, "Just to be clear, I did not have a baby. But I am open to it." The crowd laughed, but Tiffany wasn't finished. She explained that the internet frenzy all started because of a simple picture. She and her close friend Jason Lee had taken a photo with a baby, and somehow the internet decided to crown her a new mom overnight. "We just took a picture with a baby," she said, shrugging like it was the most innocent thing in the world. But then she added with a sly smile, and then that went crazy. "So now, we got a god baby." The audience erupted. Jason, sitting nearby, played along perfectly. "We do. Yeah, I went ahead and made it our god baby." Tiffany leaned into the joke even further, announcing, "Okay, great. You're the daddy." Jason shot back, "Oh, thank you." The banter was pure comedy gold, quick, sharp, and confusing enough to make fans wonder if they were serious or just trolling everyone. But beneath the laughter, there was something else happening. Tiffany wasn't simply brushing off the rumors. She was building them into something bigger. Instead of just saying, "Nope, not my baby, end of story," she added another layer to the mystery. By calling the child their god baby, she gave the internet a brand new narrative to run with. And it worked. Clips of the exchange immediately started spreading online. Some fans thought Tiffany was still hiding something. Others believed the entire thing was a skit cooked up for laughs. But then Tiffany and Jason shifted the conversation in a direction no one expected, and that's when this story took on a whole new meaning. Because what started as a playful back and forth about a baby suddenly turned into something much more serious. At first, Tiffany's comments on Jimmy Kimmel Live felt like classic Tiffany Haddish humor, loud, playful, and slightly chaotic. But as the laughter settled, she and Jason revealed there was more to this god baby than just a punchline. Jason leaned in and explained that the baby wasn't random at all. This wasn't just some stranger's child they grabbed for a funny photo. There was meaning behind it. He reminded Tiffany and the audience that both of them grew up in foster care. They had both lived through the system, bounced around, and known the feeling of being without a permanent family. And now, as adults, both were using their platforms to shed light on something deeply personal: adoption. Suddenly, the room shifted. What started as comedy was now layered with real-life emotion. Tiffany's eyes softened as she nodded, agreeing with Jason. She explained that choosing to call the baby their god baby was symbolic. Both of us being former foster kids, actually selecting to choose a baby that wasn't ours. That's why adoption is important, she said. The audience, still chuckling from the earlier jokes, grew quieter. This wasn't just about tricking fans with a fake baby rumor anymore. Tiffany and Jason were making a point. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes, it's about the people you choose. And this hit fans hard. Social media lit up again, but the tone was different this time. Instead of mocking the stunt or accusing Tiffany of trolling, many people applauded her. Tweets rolled in saying things like, "Okay, this is actually beautiful," and "Tiffany turning a fake baby scandal into adoption awareness? Genius." But Tiffany being Tiffany, she didn't leave it on a purely serious note. Just as the audience started soaking in the heartfelt moment, she pulled the rug out again with a bold line that left everyone gasping. "Hey, Jason, the offer still stands if you want to make a real baby together." The crowd erupted. Jason laughed nervously, shaking his head, while Tiffany doubled down with a playful smirk. And just like that, the conversation had swerved from adoption awareness straight back into comedy chaos. Only this time, the joke carried an undercurrent of curiosity. Because the question hanging in the air wasn't just, was Tiffany serious? It was, what would happen if she actually went through with it? And that's exactly what Tiffany teased next, pushing the conversation into territory no one expected her to go on live TV. As the laughter from Tiffany's bold real baby offer died down, something shifted again. Jason looked at Tiffany, and instead of just playing along, he grounded the moment with honesty. Both of them had been cracking jokes, but underneath the comedy was a truth they couldn't ignore. They weren't just friends goofing around on TV. They were two people who had lived through something very few truly understand. Jason spoke first, reminding the audience that he and Tiffany weren't born into the kind of stability most people take for granted. They were foster kids, moved from place to place, often uncertain about who really cared for them or where they would belong next. Tiffany nodded along, her usual wide grin softening into something more reflective. This wasn't about going viral. It was about survival, and about what it means when you grow up without the foundation of a permanent family. Tiffany jumped in, her tone more serious now. She explained that when you've experienced foster care, you learn how important it is to feel chosen. Not just loved because someone has to love you, but chosen because someone wants you. That, she said, was the reason she and Jason called the baby their God baby. It wasn't about fooling the world into thinking she had a child. It was about showing that family can be created in ways that go beyond biology. And the message hit deep. Viewers at home could feel it. The tweets started changing again. People were opening up about their own stories, about being adopted, about fostering children, about how representation in conversations like this mattered more than people realized. Tiffany and Jason had taken what started as a viral rumor and turned it into a spotlight on an issue that rarely gets center stage in late-night comedy. But Tiffany, true to her unpredictable spirit, didn't let it end on a purely emotional note. Just as the room was fully locked into the heaviness of her words, she tilted her head toward Jason and teased again. "Now, you know the offer is still on the table. I'm just saying, Jason, we could make it official." The audience howled with laughter. Jason, trying to keep a straight face, reminded everyone of a very important detail. "Tiff, I'm still gay." The crowd roared, Tiffany cackled, and the tension broke instantly. But the point lingered. They weren't just making jokes, they were weaving together comedy and truth, showing that even in laughter, there can be healing. And as wild as it all sounded, Tiffany wasn't backing down. Because what she brought up next made everyone realize maybe she wasn't entirely joking after all. By this point, the audience thought they had it all figured out. Tiffany had cleared the rumors, Jason had dropped some heartfelt wisdom about foster care, and together they had shifted the spotlight onto adoption. The segment could have wrapped up neatly right there. But Tiffany Haddish isn't someone who does neat. Instead, she leaned back in her chair, shot Jason a sly smile, and dropped a line that sent the audience into chaos. "Jason, the offer still stands if you want to make a real baby together." The room exploded. Viewers at home were stunned. Was she joking? Was she serious? The line between comedy and reality suddenly blurred in a way only Tiffany can pull off. Jason burst into laughter, shaking his head, but Tiffany didn't let go. She leaned in closer, pressing him. "No, for real. We could do this. Our baby would be amazing, funny, smart, and stylish right out the gate." The crowd roared, but Tiffany wasn't laughing as hard as before. She had that mischievous glint in her eye, the kind that makes you wonder if she's only half joking. Jason, trying to hold his ground, reminded her of the obvious. "You know I'm still gay, right?" Tiffany fired back instantly, "Yeah, but science exists. And besides, we could still figure something out." The back and forth was pure electricity. One moment, the crowd was laughing. The next, they were gasping. The tension came from not knowing how far Tiffany was willing to push this. Was this just Tiffany milking the moment for late-night entertainment? Or was she planting a seed, testing Jason and the world on how serious she really was about starting a family? Jason tried to brush it off, but Tiffany kept the energy alive, throwing out playful hints about meetings they could have, joking about how traditional she still was, and teasing Jason with lines that kept everyone guessing. And the audience couldn't look away. Because here's the truth. In Hollywood, most celebrity baby rumors end with a denial and a sigh of relief. But Tiffany Haddish flipped that script. She denied the rumors, sure, but then she doubled back and offered to make them real. And if that wasn't shocking enough, the story didn't end there. Because when fans started digging, they uncovered something that made this moment even wilder. Tiffany and Jason had already talked about this idea before. The audience couldn't believe what they were hearing. Tiffany Haddish had just put Jason Lee on the spot on national television, practically daring him to start a family with her. And now, all eyes were on Jason. How is he going to respond? Jason laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh that dismissed the idea entirely. It was nervous, playful, the kind of laugh you give when you're caught off guard, but secretly flattered. He turned to Tiffany, shaking his head, and reminded her again of something that seemed obvious. "Tiff, I love you, but I'm still gay." The crowd erupted, but Tiffany wasn't backing down. She leaned forward, smirking, and, "That just means you fabulous. We could still figure this out." Her timing was perfect, and the delivery was so sharp that even Jason had to pause and collect himself. He tried to steer the conversation back towards safe ground, joking about how expensive kids are, how complicated things would get, and how Tiffany was too much to handle already. But Tiffany flipped every excuse into another punchline. When Jason said kids cost too much, Tiffany quipped, "That's why we need two incomes." When he said she was too much, she shot back, "That just means the baby would never be bored." The energy in the room was electric. What was supposed to be a casual denial of baby rumors had now turned into a full-on debate about whether these two longtime friends could actually pull off raising a child together. And fans couldn't get enough. But here's where it got interesting. Jason didn't completely dismiss the idea. He didn't say no outright. He laughed, he teased, he tried to brush it off, but there was a moment, just a flicker, where it looked like he was considering it. Maybe not seriously, maybe not in the old-fashioned way Tiffany joked about, but in some form. And that's what made this segment so gripping. It wasn't just Tiffany tossing out wild lines for shock value, it was Jason's hesitation, his inability to fully shut it down, that made viewers wonder, could this actually happen? Because remember, these weren't just two random celebrities tossing jokes around. Tiffany and Jason have a history. They share a bond from growing up in foster care, a bond that makes the idea of choosing family feel that much more meaningful. For Tiffany, the thought of starting a family with Jason wasn't just about comedy, it was about rewriting their story, creating something they both never had growing up. And as wild as it all seemed, fans later discovered this wasn't even the first time Tiffany had brought it up. In fact, she'd already confronted Jason with the same idea months earlier on his own podcast. And her approach there? Even bolder. For anyone who thought Tiffany Haddish shocking, "let's have a baby" moment on live television came out of nowhere, think again. Because months earlier, she had already cornered Jason Lee on his very own podcast with the exact same proposition. And if the late-night exchange was playful, what she said on the podcast was downright bold. In the now-viral clip, Jason and Tiffany were reminiscing, laughing about old times, when Tiffany suddenly pivoted to something serious. With zero hesitation, she looked Jason dead in the eye and reminded him, "You did promise me you would give me a kid. Are you serious about that?" Jason, caught completely off guard, tried to laugh it off. But Tiffany doubled down, pressing him for an answer. And when Jason started stammering about logistics, Tiffany made it clear. She wasn't talking about adoption. She wasn't talking about surrogacy. She was talking about the old-fashioned way. "I wanted to talk to you about the cost," Tiffany said, smirking. "Because I said I want to do it the old-fashioned way, and you said no. So I wanted to talk to you about the cost." Jason nearly fell out of his chair. The cost? What is the old-fashioned way? It's been so long, I don't even remember. Tiffany didn't miss a beat. She grinned and fired back. You know, the hoochie coochie. The studio burst into laughter, but Tiffany didn't let up. She leaned into the microphone and spelled it out. She wasn't joking. She was genuinely testing Jason's reaction, pushing him into the corner of an idea that most people wouldn't even dare to bring up publicly. Jason, flustered but still laughing, tried to brush it aside again. He joked about being gay, joked about how it wouldn't make sense, but Tiffany just sat there, smiling like she had all the time in the world. The power in that moment wasn't just her words, it was her persistence. She was letting Jason and everyone watching know that this wasn't some random joke that popped into her head. This was something she had thought about before. Something she was willing to say again and again until someone finally took her seriously. And when fans connected that podcast moment to her comments on Jimmy Kimmel Live, everything clicked. This wasn't just Tiffany Haddish trolling for laughs. This was a recurring theme. A running thread between her and Jason that blurred the line between comedy and confession. The big question became, was Tiffany really just playing? Or was she planting the seed for something bigger, something that could actually happen one day? Because when you look back at her words, both on the podcast and on live TV, Tiffany never laughed the idea away. She made jokes, sure, but she always circled back to the possibility. Always left the door cracked open just enough to make people wonder. And that's exactly why this story hit so hard. It wasn't just about a baby photo, or a viral rumor, or even a late-night comedy bit. It was about Tiffany Haddish revealing, in her own wild and unpredictable way, that deep down she might actually be ready for motherhood. And Jason Lee? Whether he liked it or not, the world now saw him as part of that story too. So, what started with one photo of Tiffany Haddish holding a baby spiraled into weeks of rumors, a viral frenzy, and eventually, one of the wildest late-night interviews we've seen in years. At first, it looked like just another celebrity mystery. Had Tiffany secretly become a mom? Was she hiding a pregnancy? Did she adopt behind the scenes? But instead of clearing things up neatly, Tiffany flipped the narrative on its head. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, she didn't just shut down the speculation, she fueled it. She and Jason Lee doubled down on the God Baby story, turning the entire thing into a hilarious comedy sketch that left audiences laughing, but also deeply curious. And then, just as fans started piecing it together, Tiffany layered on a deeper truth about her life, her foster care past, her connection to Jason, and the importance of adoption. Suddenly, the fake baby wasn't just a joke, it was a spotlight. But Tiffany didn't stop there. With her trademark unpredictability, she spun the conversation back into chaos, openly offering to have a real baby with Jason. And while Jason kept reminding her, and everyone, that he's gay, his laughter, his hesitation, and his refusal to completely dismiss the idea only made things more compelling. Because if you watch closely, Jason never says never. And then came the real kicker, the podcast flashback, the receipts. The proof that Tiffany had brought this up before, months earlier, and in even bolder terms. She wasn't shy about it then, and she wasn't shy about it now. Which begs the question, was she really joking? Or is Tiffany Haddish actually laying the groundwork for one of the most unexpected celebrity parenting stories of all time? That's the genius of Tiffany. She lives in that space between laughter and reality, between comedy and confession. She'll make you laugh, but she'll also make you wonder if there's more truth in her jokes than anyone realizes. And in this case, her baby stunt has done more than just get headlines. It started a conversation. A conversation about adoption, about foster care, about family, and about what it means to create love and stability where it didn't exist before. For fans, it leaves us with one burning question. Is Tiffany Haddish just trolling us all with another outrageous bit of comedy? Or is she secretly telling us that she's ready, really ready, to take that next step in life and become a mom? Either way, she's managed to do what few celebrities can pull off. She's kept everyone guessing. And as long as Tiffany Haddish keeps blending truth with comedy the way only she can, one thing's for sure, nobody's going to look away. So, what do you think? Was Tiffany just joking around, Or do you believe she might actually be serious about starting a family with Jason Lee, or maybe even on her own? Drop your thoughts below, because if there's one thing we've learned from Tiffany Haddish, it's that anything is possible.